Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So in the ongoing coverage of the war that is taking place inside of the Tigray region, there is continued fighting along the southern front. As we know, there was a significant defeat of the Amhara militias that was defending the approaches of Alamata via Korem. So again, there was a major engagement in and around the city of Korem, in which these Amhara militias were defeated and then moved south into Alamata. And as the TDF approached Alamata, which was more or less a reconnaissance in force, the forces in Alamata began to flee south. The remnants of the Ethiopian army and a large host of Amhara militias. Now, this created a fairly perilous political situation inside of Addis Ababa. It created an issue for the Abiy Ahmed government, and the Amhara regional government put immense pressure on the government inside of Addis Ababa. And that had ramifications on the actual battlefield. The command elements that were directing the southern campaign for these Amhara militias, which again are also being loosely supported and directly supported by the remnants of the Ethiopian army, had real issues with this flight south by these Amhara militias. And we are receiving reports that in some cases, to prevent this Amhara militia flight south, that in some cases minefields were set up to prevent these forces from retreating south. We've also heard reports that in some cases even mortar and artillery fire was directed against these fleeing forces of these Amhara militias that were fleeing south, which then forced some of them to actually flee back north. But to compare and contrast kind of what we're saying, the facts on the ground in terms of some of the video documentation that is coming in cannot be discounted. We have seen columns of thousands and thousands of Ethiopian army forces surrendering in mass. We have also seen the surrendering of thousands of Amhara militias as well. And we also know from video evidence there is now thousands, possibly as many as 10,000 Ethiopian prisoners of war being held in and north of Mekelle. So that is something that is real, is factual, and it has occurred. And we also know that the issue of the flight south from Alamata after the engagements around Korem actually occurred. So what is happening on the ground right now? Well, it is continued warfare. There has been some reports coming out of the region that question the control of Alamata, and some reports even question the control of Korem, or who has positive control over those two sites. Well, in the coming days, that will sort itself out, and that will clearly be defined. And I would say that you will probably see the same performance as was seen in other areas of the Tigray region. And that would entail a massive surrender of Ethiopian army and Amhara militia forces. Some of the tactics that are being employed by these Amhara militias, and obviously the Ethiopian army, especially in terms of recruiting and sending forces north to fight are not indicative of a professional army, and that will prove itself on the battlefield. And especially when we start to receive reports that one side is setting up defensive positions and utilizing artillery to prevent your own forces from retreating, then that is a serious issue for that military. We've heard reports that the Ethiopian military may have purchased TB2 drones from Turkey. Now, the issue with that is going to be very hard to cover up and maintain plausible deniability for the Turks to supply these weapons. Many of these weapon systems, and especially the TB2 drone, contain systems of Canadian origin, and some of the most crucial systems are of Canadian origin, especially the optronics, the optics, the thermal imaging cameras. Then you have to look at the munitions that the TB2 drone employs, which is the MAM missile, the Mikey Alpha Mikey missile, or the MAM-L missile. That is a guided munition, again, that would have to be supplied to the Ethiopian army, and or Turkish advisors would have to be employing these drones and basically that would mean that a NATO force would be in Ethiopia supporting the Ethiopian army, and that would have immense political ramifications, especially if we were to see the deployment of those advanced missiles, the MAM-L missiles. The drones, possibly, especially in terms of reconnaissance and that sort of operation, but when they start supplying these advanced weapons to the Ethiopian army, in which we are already kind of seeing sanctions being implemented, that could have immense ramifications for Turkey. And especially a lot of these systems were helped in terms of the development by other NATO countries as well. So we could see. I mean, it is possible that these drones have been moved into Addis Ababa, and it is possible that they could be used in some sort of reconnaissance operation. But to then supply these drones with the munitions needed to engage forces inside of the Tigray region, that's a different story. And there would have to obviously be a train and an equip program to help the Ethiopians learn how to utilize these systems. It's just not a system that you can deliver and overnight the system becomes operational. You have to go through a fairly significant infrastructure program and a train and equip program, or the Turkish forces are directly controlling these drones. And either way, that is going to have a political ramifications that I'm not sure the Turks want to deal with right now. And then again, these systems are also fairly expensive as well. What we could be seeing is the possibility of early indications that Wagner, the Russian mercenary group, is starting to operate inside of Ethiopia and bringing in some less advanced systems in terms of drone technology for battlefield observation. But we will continue to keep an eye on the situation. The Southern Front is very active right now with engagements ongoing. We continue to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces move south, and I would anticipate further engagements in the south as we will also eventually see engagements in the West as well. Have a great day, everybody.